Give my testimonial today, and I'm just so glad I can move somebody today. So I'm going to start it off with a question. What first comes to mind when you hear the word Christian? I actually don't like answers, hand raising. Spit it out. What first comes to mind when you hear the word Christian?
Disciple of God. Christ follower.
Faith.
Saved.
That's all good stuff, but when I was first in middle school and stuff, when I heard the word Christian, I would think of stuff like boring, uptight, judgmental, intrusive. Just they did whatever they wanted, and if I messed up, they just made me feel like a bad person, and I really did not like anything about religion. Yet I believed in God. So I was in like a weird situation where I really believed that God was real, but I did not follow any of his teachings at all. And I'm just going to basically talk about how I got into wanting to follow his teachings, and I'm trying to bring other people to follow them too. So I'm going to start in middle school, where it all began. So as you can see, my outfits are usually kind of strange and unique, I guess you could call it. But that all started kind of changing in middle school, actually. When my first day of middle school, I'm not sure if I actually wore this outfit, but I'm almost convinced I did. I wore like Jordans or basketball shoes, ankle socks, jean shorts, and just like a shirt. And I had like a messy fro and a mustache. So that was me.
Mustache?
So I was always that annoying, outgoing kid who would just talk, thought he knew everything. And I kind of still am that person today, but it's more controlled. But back then, it was even worse, and people didn't really like me that much. So I really wanted to fit in. So what I first got into was I wanted to wear the clothes that everybody else had. So I actually went out and bought Vans because I thought they were so cool then. And I remember they were red Vans, and I wore them to a carnival. I was like, see those? I was wearing like red Vans and a black and gold shirt, so I obviously still didn't know what style was, but I did that, and then I also would buy clothes that everybody was wearing. I went and bought some tan jeans just to fit in with my friend group, and I would go to PacSun, Tilly's, like all those places just to fit in with my friends, and it was just kind of like I'm losing myself. And actually, I even went to the extent to buy a new backpack because I felt that out of place. And the backpack I used to wear was like a one-strap backpack. Like,
Kid.
people would be like, are you wearing that backpack? I don't know. So I went and bought a purple JanSport backpack because I was on the Ravens. So I was like, I want to look cool, walking around with my jersey. So I bought a purple JanSport backpack. I would even try to fit in with like the slang used. I think the word back then was swag, so I was like, swag. So I was using all the words. My actions were even changing. So I was becoming more of a jerk to people because that's people I surround myself with. I became them. And I would just be like roasting people all the time, like, boy, what are those? Like, stuff like that. All the time. And I still am kind of like that today. I'm still kind of judgmental of people, and I'm really trying to stop that because it's just like not like me to be that judgmental, and I think everything changed in middle school. And then anyway, not after middle school, but during middle school, 7th grade, I met this girl named Louise. I think most of you probably know her. She's like my first, not love, but like first person I've ever cared about to that extent. And I don't know why I liked her so much because me and her never got along. So it's like, me and her always argued. It was just kind of like, I just thought she was cool and cute, whatever. So I went through that phase, and for some reason, like I couldn't like let her go though. But in 8th grade, actually, we broke up, and she actually moved schools because of me. And I remember asking her because I heard rumors that like she's moving schools. I'm like, what? So I like found her that day. I was like, is it true? You moving schools? She's like, yeah, I'm moving to Aki Mall. I was like, why? She's like, because you hurt me so badly that I can't come here anymore. And just stuff like that. Like every time that she walked into school, it was like a constant memory of me, and she just hated that school. So she moved to Aki Mall, and that crushed me, feeling like that bad of a person that I could make somebody shift their whole lifestyle to a new school. Like I just did that to a person, and it's like I don't understand how I got to that point. Like because I'm not like a mean person, but for some reason I was becoming that guy. And it was just getting really bad, and that whole year, it really hurt me. But like I was that type of person, especially in middle school, where I didn't want to look weak or soft, as people call it, and like insensitive. So I was like, well, I don't care if she left. I'm doing me. Like I was that guy. So I'm so glad I'm not like that anymore. But like that's how I was. But that whole year crushed me, and it got even worse because I feel like I don't have a real close bond with family at all. Like my family is these guys that I come to church with every day, and I just never felt a close bond with my parents except when I was in elementary school. And ever since I left elementary school, it's just been like separating and separating. And like I'm over here and they're over here, and we just don't get along. We butt heads a lot. So especially in middle school, it was tough for me to deal with that because I was going through all these changes. I had all these questions like, what is this? What is this? And I was going through puberty and everything, and I like just wanted to know stuff, but I didn't have an adult figure I could go to. So it was kind of tough that whole year, and I was really missing my grandma, but I wouldn't call her. So it was just like this whole complicated thing that I just getting deeper and deeper and deeper into my own sorrow. And eventually by the end of that year, it was Mother's Day, and my parents went to a Diamondbacks game, and while they were gone, I actually cut my wrist. I cut this arm all the way up to here, I can still see it. And then I've cut this many other times, and I also cut here. So I actually cut, I'm not proud of it, because I look at my arms and I see it every day, and it's just a constant reminder of how low I've been, but I've somehow managed to get lower, but I'll talk about that later. And that was the first sign that I've really seen that I have some issues here. And I remember the last day of school, I got reported to the office because people obviously knew I was cutting because I was wearing hoodies in May. So somebody, thank God, they told them, they told the office that I had been cutting. So I went to the office, they're like, let me see your wrist. I was like, no. They forcefully made me show them my wrist, and then my parents got called, my mom started crying. The day after school got out, like the last day of school passed, and then it's that next day, I had to go to school to talk to my counselor, to tell them I won't cut again, and if I do feel like cutting, I have to call someone. So that was that first part of my problems. And then that summer going into freshman year was really, really hard because I lost every single one of my friends that I had been growing up with because of just lifestyle changes. Like everybody wants to go party, smoke and drink. I tried that, hated it, wasn't my thing at all. But I tried it anyway. I got so drunk that I barely remember that night. I had hangover, puked my guts out. Terrible, never doing it again. Because every time I smell alcohol, I want to throw up. And I think that's a blessing because I will never touch alcohol again because of the smell that when I smell it, I literally almost throw up every time. But what really broke up my friendship with those people going into high school was this girl named Izzy Curl. And I liked her. And it was over the summer, not my two friends, this kid named Daniel Cronin and this other kid named Max Adkins both did stuff with her. And they tried to hide it from me. Daniel tried to hide it from me, but I found out the next day. And then it was actually back-to-back days, so that was rough. I was in the same bed with Max and the other girl when they were doing stuff. So that really hurt me and made me really insecure about my sex life. And it kind of just made me feel like I couldn't get females in that way. And I was like ugly because I was like the ugly kid in that group. And just made me feel really bad about myself. So going into freshman year, I remember having no friends. Freshman boot camp was a struggle because I wanted to go talk to them, but they would ignore me. So I just had to like make new friends. And that was freshman year. Freshman year was like really not that good of a memory. Well, not good of a memory for me. I just like stayed in school and just focused on that. But sophomore year is what I like to call the fall off. That's where I really got my like insecurities and my problems like magnified because I was becoming more popular. I felt really cool because I was one of the older sophomores, so I could already drive like the first month of school. And my mom gave me ridiculous amounts of money, and she still does for no reason. Like she gave me $150 every 2 weeks. And I'm like, for what? She's like, because you keep your grades up, you do sports, so you can't really have a job, so I'm giving you this money. But, all right, so I used that, and I like used it to like lure women into me, I guess you could say. Like I just used that to my advantage for the wrong reasons. And I don't really like talking about sophomore year that much, but I just went on a really wrong path. Not like with drugs and wise, but like just women in general. I wasn't respecting them how I should be, and I'm not proud of it, and I'm so glad that I learned from it. But anyway, going into that sophomore year summer, I was I actually gained my friends. Like these are like my best friends. You guys all know who they are. I started hanging out with them all the time, and what I noticed was like, why are these guys so happy? These guys are always happy. I like didn't understand it. I was like, maybe it's because they follow Christ or something. Like I was just like I was like intrigued by it. So it was like draw me to them, and I would like always want to hang out with them. And then one day, Andrew and Matt like, yeah, spend the night. But wait, I have a funny joke. So the first time I was ever, well not ever, but I went to the Perez household, and it was dinner time, and I'm the pickiest eater in the world. I think Sean was cooking. Yeah, Alfredo. And she's like, all right, Logan, come down to eat. I was like, and then Gabe's like, tell her that you're lactose.
Oh my god!
I'm lactose. So I actually, for like a whole year, I pretended like I had lactose. So that I didn't have to eat there, but she found out and like kept it a secret. So, but anyway, I was just like really confused at how these guys are so happy. Like they don't party, they don't drink. Like how could you have this much happiness and not do any of that? So like I just started hanging out with them, and then I went to church for the first time, and I was just like, everybody's so happy. I don't get it. Lord, you have to wake up this early and do this, and then I just like kept going, and then I eventually like fell in love with it. And I asked one night, I was texting Andrew. I was like, how do I move on? What's the next step for me? And he was like, have you been saved yet? Like, saved. I didn't know any of the terminology then. I was like, saved. I'm saved. Yeah, just say that sinner's prayer, do that whole thing, and I did it. And instantly a whole spiritual high came on me, and I was just like so in love with the whole like Christ. I was reading the Bible and like everything. Like I just felt that was my first real connection with God, and it was like the greatest thing that I felt up until that point. And I was just like, this is it. Like I'm not going to use women anymore. I finally feel like a changed person. Wrong. That I still did what I didn't want to do. I was still using women wrongly. Still cussing. Just like I wasn't really like following his teachings yet. And junior year is probably the toughest year I've had to go through. But at the beginning of it, it was probably the brightest part of my life so far. And it's because I met this girl named Jessica Leo, and I absolutely fell in love with her. I'm still in love with her to this day. For like the first time in my life, I felt like other girls weren't a problem, and they weren't. But I had poor self-control. I just couldn't control myself sometimes. I actually like gave her my virginity, and I just wasn't. I never wanted to do that, and I got weak in my faith, and I just let it happen. And I don't know why. The whole worst part about that relationship is the fact that I actually cheated on her. I was ashamed of myself then. I'm ashamed of myself now. I always feel guilty about it. It's just, I just feel like I'm never like. I don't know. It's just really hard to just think of like I'm that guy that would actually cheat on someone, because I hated the people that did that to others, and I would just be like, how could you do that, dude? Like, what are you doing? And then I was in that situation, like, wow, I'm that person. And I was just like, how did I do this to her? How did I do this to my friends? How did I do this to her family, myself, God? Like, I don't know how I did this. Like, that's the reason why people don't, like, that's like the main reason why people like sometimes don't like Christians, because we all mess up, we all do stuff like that, and then it's just kind of like, but I'll be at church Sunday praising him. So it's just kind of like I was a hypocrite, and it just made me feel bad that whole year, and I was acting different. And then she would always ask me, Logan, are you being faithful to me? Because she would hear rumors, and I'd be like, oh, oh, it's just rumors. Yes, no, I'd never do that. And I was just lying. So that whole year I was lying. Felt constant guilt all the time. And that's when I really started drifting away from God that year. That's when I just felt like not myself. Eventually we broke up that year. Not several times, just twice. And it wasn't even related to the cheating. But somewhere going into senior year, I was getting closer to God. Like I really felt His presence. Like I hadn't felt that way in like a long time. And I was reading the Bible all the time and praying, always praying for other people, trying to be there for people, just trying to do the whole deal. And for some reason, I just couldn't stop doing stuff with girls. I don't understand myself sometimes because I know how dumb it is. I know what comes from it. But for some reason, like when I'm in that situation, it's just it's not me anymore, and it's just like it sucks so much. But the problem with that also is that at the same time I was still trying to get back together with Jessica. So beginning of the senior year rolls along, and what I like to say is that everything that happens in the dark eventually gets brought to the light. She found out everything that I did over the summer. That day, actually, she called me, and she's like, "Where are you?" Daniel, she's like, "We need to talk." I was like, "Okay, well," and Daniel was like, "All right, well, I'm coming." Okay. So she came out, and then she's like, "Here," and then I came out, and she's bawling, crying, and I'm like, all she could say is, "Are you serious? Other girls, really? Is that how much I mean to you?" And then like what hurt me the most when she was scolding me is when she was like, "I really hope you can find Jesus because what you're doing is not okay, and I hope that you can find Jesus." And she tried to walk away from me, and I didn't let her do that though. But that just like broke me down because I just tried to be like an example for her that like what a follower is, and I like was doing the exact opposite. So it just hurt me that way. And that's the day that she finally cut me off, and that's the day I really hit rock bottom. I thought I knew what rock bottom was until that moment. It's like, have you guys ever felt like life isn't worth living? You don't want to take one more step. You don't want to roll out of bed. You just lose passion for everything that you once loved doing. Just nod your head if you have. Well, heartbreak is like the worst thing ever. Like I don't know why, but like that's the worst I've ever felt in my life so far. And losing this woman really hurt my life. It hurt her, my family, her family, just my friends, her friends, just everybody around me. I was like, oh, if I do this, it's only going to affect me. No, everybody. It affected everybody, and people looked at me differently. But thankfully, I have like really great friends that didn't abandon me. But I just like really thought that I would never be forgiven by God either. But that's wrong. I always get forgiven for some reason. I'm so thankful for that first verse. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. The reason why I picked this one is because during that whole phase, I was like, where is God right now? Why do I feel like this? Why am I always feeling like, because I've been depressed, everybody's been depressed, but it was for months. And I couldn't pick myself up. I was like, where are you? I don't understand what's going on. And then my friends would always be sending me verses like, He's with you. And then Jess would even send me articles like, He thirsts for you, like stuff like that. Like, I just wasn't using it. I wasn't listening to it. I was like, yeah, you're right. Good advice. Yeah, thank you. Nod it off. And then set it aside. And then I'd go back to crying and wanting her back. So it was like, I wasn't trying to bring myself out. I was just I just wanted her back. And that was the wrong thing. But thankfully, every time I look at this verse, I know that He's with me, and He's never going to leave my side. And whether when I'm going through bad time or not, when I'm going through bad times, He's going to bring me out eventually for something good. But from August to mid-October, I was in a deep depression. I was diagnosed with clinical depression, so I actually had depression. Now I have to take antidepressant pills, and I have to take these fish oil pills, I believe, and they just keep like my brain cells intact or something like that, so that I can actually sleep. And then I have to go to a therapist just to stay sane, so I can get my thoughts rolling. What I really learned from that whole experience is that suicide's not a joke. Depression is not a joke either. Especially when you're moments away from actually doing it, killing yourself, you realize that it's all real. The enemy's real, God's real, just everything is like, I just came to like that realization of like, I was actually gonna kill myself. But I don't think God he didn't let that happen. And one night I was done. I was gonna kill myself the next day. I was gonna go buy a gun. I was gonna go end it right there. But my mom called a hotline, and I talked to them for a little bit, and then they sent out two women to my house, two lovely women, and started talking to me, and I was just telling them the whole story, and they were just like, well, I'm sorry, that sucks. Like you said, you're suicidal. I was like, yeah. Do you have suicidal thoughts or suicidal intent? What's the difference? She's like, well, everybody has those suicidal thoughts, but are you actually going to act on it? I was like, yeah, I was going to go do it, whether I felt normal again or not. I was going to go kill myself. And she was like, all right, we can't let that happen, Logan. So you have two options. You can either voluntarily go to a mental hospital, or we'll restrain you and make you go. So I said, I'll go. Yeah, I wasn't about to be restrained by two women. They took me to this hospital. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. Sat in a recliner for 24 hours on suicide watch. With a bunch of old people, and I could not sleep because these people like yawned, like I was like, no. And like, one time they were so in sync that it was like one guy was coming up on the snore, and then another, like when he was coming down, another guy was coming up, so it was like snoring all throughout the night. So I got like 2 hours of sleep while I was there, and while I was sitting on that chair, I just came to the realization that I really can't do this by myself. I really couldn't. As hard as I wanted to run away from God and try to find my own way, it made the situation worse. So I came to that realization that I was like, yo, I need Jesus and I need God right now. And that's when, right when I got out, I went out, I texted my friends, and I was like, I really need you guys right now. I need you guys to pray for me. I just need all your support right now, and I just need your guidance, because I love all my best friends that are here. I just love you guys so much, and I hope you guys know that. They really helped me through that, and I was in desperate need of help, and I wasn't ashamed of it anymore, because in middle school I was really insecure about it, but when I grew up, I was just kind of like, yo, I'm admitting it, I'm broken, I just need to be back to myself again. So like, I just wanted everybody to be around me and help me, because that's what friends are for. So I remember one day I said, Andrew, what do I do? And side note, I just think God blessed me with Andrew's friendship, because he's like my mentor. I go to him for everything. He has such a gift with his words. He knows how to speak to just about anybody. And if it wasn't for Andrew, I don't think I'd be here right now. I don't think I would have ever had the confidence to speak. But he has such wisdom for such a young person that he just like enlightens so many people. And I just think God gave me a gift in a friend. And I just love you so much, Andrew. I just want to know that. And told me to get on my knees, pray, cry out to God, give my problem up to Him, and I did just that. I was actually on my knees, crying, like literally bawling, and saying, Jesus, please help me. Like, I sounded so pathetic, and just like, I felt like His presence. And then my mom actually came in, and she's like, I'm praying, Lord. She was like, okay. She's like, I was just like, that's and like as soon as I did that, like as soon as I just let everything out, things got better. Like instantly, almost. Like in that week, God took over my mind, just like I wanted. He gave me many distractions, like school, work, just like everything doing with the church. I finally got on the worship team, everything like that, and it was just wonderful. And that's why I think praying is so important. The next verse. Not only so, but we also rejoice in our suffering, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and hope. Hope does not disappoint us, because God has poured out His love into our hearts by the Holy Spirit, whom He has given us. So what this verse reminds me of is that everybody loves being happy, everybody likes good times, but I just realized, like, through this whole thing, I don't really have a hard life at all. Like, I would like listen to other people tell me their problems, like about domestic violence, sexual abuse, drug addiction. I think of myself, I'm like, I don't even have it that bad. But when I go through something like this bad, I realize that it's making me a stronger person, that God's preparing me for something, a greater battle in the future. And I think just looking at how when we go through suffering, it produces perseverance and character. This is when I'm becoming a man now. I'm finally becoming like a mature adult, to where like I can actually speak in front of people, because I would never do this. But I'm doing it right now because I feel like something inside of me just wanted to share. So I just finally got the courage to speak up, and I just think that's what God has done for me. And then the hope part is, when I felt like killing myself, I had no hope. But like, I feel like if I ever did that point again, I'll know that I'll get out of it, and it's because of God. And after this whole thing, I felt like a new version of myself, and like my heart had changed, and I will only credit God for that, because I did nothing, couldn't involve Him. So I actually quit baseball. I was pretty good at baseball, I'd say, right, Josh? That was pretty good, but I think quitting baseball has been the best thing for my walk with Christ so far, because it really consumed my life. Over the summer, I don't think I went to church once. And how many weeks are there of summer break? 12? Well, 8 of those weekends were spent on a baseball field. So that's all. Like, I don't think I went to church once over the summer. So I felt so separated from God that it was just like ridiculous. Like it actually hurt. And I think just quitting baseball just freed up my time. And I just want to use that as an example that if you feel like you're losing passion for something in your life, or if like an opportunity closes, I'm pretty sure there's another one coming up that is supposed to be like, that's your calling to like do what God wants you to do. And if you feel that urge, then pray about it. Something good will come out of it. But fast forward to now, I still struggle with sexual temptation to this day. I fell to that temptation a few times. So I know that my battle is nowhere over, like nowhere near over. I'm still struggling with that. But I think everybody has that one temptation that it might not be sex, but it could be something else that it just haunts you. Like it doesn't leave you alone. Like that's what the enemy exposes for you. And I just want everybody to know that you're not alone. Everybody has that. God is always here for you. Just pray about it, and things will get better. It's always going to be hard. That sin's always going to want to come and consume you, but you just have to like put your foot down and say no. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, because sin feels so good, and that's why it's so dangerous. And you don't realize what you're doing is wrong until after. At least I know that God can get me through it. But what I want to leave you guys with is that basically what Jeshua was saying last week about Joseph. Just because something bad happens doesn't mean that there won't be something good coming from it. So basically, like me going through that whole thing with last year with Jess, like lying, cheating, all of that, it made me an honest person. I just don't lie to anybody anymore, ever. And like, because that whole thing, just holding everything back from people is unhealthy, in my opinion. Like, I just felt like I had nobody to talk to, and I just feel like it was the biggest lesson I've learned so far, and I'm really fortunate for it. And just because you make a mistake, it doesn't mean that you're not, like, that you can't be a follower. Because everybody makes mistakes as humans. And I just feel as if now, just because of that mistake alone, I'm like a much mature and wiser person, that I can now mentor others. And when people come to me for advice, I can actually give them godly advice for once. But before this whole situation happened, before this test of my faith, I would not mention God to unbelievers. So like, somebody come up to me that was like partying and smoking, I would like give them worldly advice, I guess you could say. I wouldn't send them any scripture. I wouldn't say, just pray about it, I'll pray for you. But now, I don't care who you are, I'm going to share the word with you. And I think that's a blessing, because like now I can finally have confidence in myself and even better faith in the Lord because of what He brought me through. Like, He brought me out of that whole depression, crying out.